Hey, this video is about the zodiac, astrological signs of the characters and how to get away with murder. I've watched this show since it first premiered, and so I have a lot of insight. I'm just going to go off what I think. I'm not going to go back and cross-reference months mentioned in the show or anything like that. I'm just going to mention what I think based off of my knowledge of astrology and the characters' personalities. All right, so I do have my Virgo cup here. There is a character that I do think is a Virgo, so see if you can guess who you think that might be. All right, and so I'm just going to start with the queen bee herself, Annalise Keating. Annalise, I think, is a Capricorn. Okay, now I was debating between Capricorn and Scorpio, but Capricorn, I think, you know, there is an end result to what she does. She doesn't necessarily do things because of how she feels. Sometimes she can, but I also think she is more so about the end result, the goal, the master plan. We have to get this done because there's always something deeper, bigger on the horizon. She can be cutthroat and ruthless in order to win. She wants to be on top. Scorpio doesn't necessarily want to always be on top. That's why I debated. I think it's Capricorn. I think she's a Capricorn. The sun. Some of these signs I might talk about sun and the rising. I'm just going to do sun signs for the most part. As you know, I think the whole chart is important, but obviously these are characters. You can't really do all that. You know, but I do think she has some Scorpio energy. I do think Annalise Keating would be like a Capricorn with a Scorpio moon or Scorpio rising, because the way she comes off to other people would be her rising, right? Or her moon would be like how she handles feelings. I do think there is some she buries her feelings deep within, which is why I'm more inclined to say she's a Scorpio moon, that she does feel like she does, but she has a lot of secrets, and she doesn't like to be vulnerable, and she can be very reactive to how she feels, but she can, you know, she reactive meaning like, but not like an Aries reactive, a Scorpio in terms of like somebody having to get their revenge or their justice for what they did to her. So I think she's a Capricorn with a Scorpio moon. She's very, very loyal to those she cares about as well. Capricorn is loyal as a sense of duty. It's not because of deep care. I do think that Annalise has a some sense of emotion to her, so I think she's a Scorpio moon, but she's a Capricorn. Now, Michaela, I did go, so in this video, you might see some smoke. I'm just burning some bay leaves. I like to do that sometimes in the morning. I love the smell of bay leaves, but you know, some people use them for other purposes too. You can use them for manifestation and, you know, rituals, whatever. But Michaela, I think Michaela is an Aquarius with possibly a Virgo moon. Virgo energy definitely, but I think Aquarius. Here's why I said Aquarius. She's very Aquarius, in Virgo both can have this kind of like process-based thinking, logical. But the reason I said Aquarius over Virgos, she wants to be a part of something bigger. You know, Virgo can be very helpful, and Virgo likes to make themselves useful, but I think that she wants to be a part of something bigger. This also can be related to Michaela's background. Who's watched the show know that Michaela was adopted, and so I do think in her story, she does have some unresolved issues with that. She doesn't talk to her adopted family anymore. She grew up in kind of squalor, and she's kind of embarrassed about that. But she wants to be a part of something bigger. Annalise is like legal team. Like, she loves that. She's always trying to, want to be a part of something bigger, the collective, and that's definitely an Aquarius thing, because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn and Uranus, so it's got this like seriousness as well as this quirkiness, and she has both of those things, but also like they want to change things, right? They want to cause change, and Michaela's like this maverick who wants to cause, you know, she wants to be, you know, you could tell that she really does want to be a lawyer. You know, she wants to actually make laws, she wants to change and cause that. But Aquarius, because she can also have that kind of like that cutthroat to her as well. Remember, Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, and so is Aquarius, because it's not really an emotional based sign. So that's what I think Miss Michaela is. Now, Connor is very fun loving. He's kind of lackadaisical. He's, you know, he's fun loving. When we first met him, he was not with Oliver. I think they had just started dating or something like that. He was kind of promiscuous when we first met Connor. He didn't really know what he wanted. And, you know, was just like enjoying life, you know, and all these acquaintances that he had, and, you know, friendships and things like that. And I think that Connor is a Gemini. I think he's ruled by Mercury, because I do think I don't want to give the tip away who I also think is ruled by Mercury. But I think that he's ruled by Mercury. And I think that, you know, he can change his mind a lot. He also can, you know, sometimes you forget that he's there, but then he just does this a lot. Not that, I don't think that's a Gemini thing. Gemini is very social. But in his case, I'm saying, like, as far as Connor and his contribution to, like, the Annalise's team, it's like he's more, like, sneaky. All right, he's more like he gets things done in a very covert way, but not in, like, a very sneaky, manipulative way, but he's very good at manipulating or handling information. He's very good at, he's also very good at very communicating. But I also think Connor probably has a very direct Mercury. I think his Mercury is probably in Taurus, because, or something like that. He's very fixated on what he believes, like what he believes, what he thinks, and then Mercury rules your mind and what you think. But even with his relationship with his dad, he's very like, this is, I don't want one with you, or this is what I think of you, and I'm not changing, and this is how I feel. So I think he's a Mercury. His Mercury is probably in Taurus. There is some seriousness to Connor. I do think he's a Gemini sun. Now, Bonnie. I think that Bonnie is a, wait, let me go back because I have some other notes here and I want to make sure it's my most updated ones. Oops, what did I just do? Okay, so I think that Bonnie is a Cancer. I feel like Bonnie's ruled by her emotions, and remember, Cancer's cardinal water. And I think that she can easily take on the feelings of other people around her. Like, sometimes you'll see Bonnie and she will be very perceptive of how people around her feel. And she sometimes, remember, the moon is very reflective. Cancers can be very reflective. They reflect their moon. They can reflect other people's emotions. That if they're close to that person, they can kind of take that on. It's their way of empathizing. And so, you know, she's a strong sense of duty to, like, loyalty and all that stuff like that. She views Annalise as a family member. You know, she can be very moody. She can be manipulative. You know, when you least expect it, Bonnie can be very manipulative. She, you know, she is, if something feels some certain way, she's going to use her emotions to try to justify why she did what she did. And Cancer's ruled by the moon, represents the mother. She doesn't have a good relationship with her family. Those who watch the show know why. But she views Annalise as a mother figure. Her and Annalise have this really close relationship, this really close bond that's not really understood easily by other people. But I think Bonnie is a Cancer with a probably an Earth moon. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? Laurel. Sorry, I have to grab my phone down here. I have to look something up real quick. All right, Laurel. I think Laurel's a Libra. I think Laurel is a Libra, because partnership is really important to her. You know, first she was with Frank at one point, or Fling or whatever. Then she was with Wes. I don't think any of these situations were really truly, you know, that deep. I know that it's like the situation with Wes was romanticized. You know, it really was romanticized. It was made to be, you know, this huge thing. But when we were actually watching the show, it was kind of seemed like it was a fling. They started liking each other, started messing around. So I think, though, Laurel, you know, does value partnership. She doesn't like to be alone. She can see both sides of a situation, though. You know, I think Libras can make very good lawyers because they're very diplomatic and they are able to weigh both sides of a situation before, you know, making a decision. They're able to process that and understand both sides. And, you know, she was also you know, sometimes Libras can like attention, and even if they don't like a person, they can like attention. And so, if it's given to them. And so I also feel like remember when Gabriel started liking Michaela, all of a sudden Laurel had like this chip on her shoulder. And so I think that's, you know, I'm not saying all Libras are like that, but I think, and remember, there's evolved signs and unevolved, but I definitely think she's kind of got this attention seeking, and I don't think she's a Leo. I don't think it's Leo. I think it's Libra, some Libra energy that she has there. All right, Wes, I'm not gonna go too far to Wes because Wes is not there anymore, but I think he was a Cancer, very easily attached, moody. He has a strong presence, you know, connections with people, family, not family because he lost his family, but friends. Like, he was very close with his friends. He was very caring type of person. He also was very connected to Annalise. That's why I said him and Bonnie are both Cancers. Remember, when you see a Cancer person somewhere, there's a woman. No matter their gender, their orientation, when you see Cancer energy, you think of the mother, woman, female figures. This is going to be important in these people's lives. Okay. All right. Frank, Scorpio, ridiculously loyal to who he feels loyal to, but also cutthroat. He will murder, he will lie, he will do anything. I think he's got a lot of, I'm not saying all Scorpios like this, but too much Scorpio energy. Remember, Pluto can be abusive. Pluto can also be transformative. But remember, Scorpio's ruled by Mars and Pluto, and I think he has a bunch of Scorpio on his chart, Frank. He can be very vengeful. It's very clear when his feelings are hurt. He is definitely one of the top ones that will get revenge. He's basically Annalise's henchman. Like, he'll do whatever to hide crimes and all these other type of situations. Great investigator. Very good. Remember that Pluto. Okay, so like he's got some Pluto, probably Pluto and Scorpio in like the third house, uncovering information, something like that. He's let's see, and he wants approval from Annalise because he cares about what she thinks about him. So that's a Scorpio thing. They care about who they want to care about. They don't. It doesn't even always make sense to us about who they choose to care about. All right, Asher. We're doing Asher. Asher can be kind of aloof. He needs a specific type of person to bring out, you know, the warmth in him. But I think he's a genuinely good person. You know, his father was involved in that shady situation. He was, you know, he was affected by it. He wasn't just like, oh, this is just what we do, we're rich. He was a Pisces. I think that Asher is a Pisces. There's probably some other influences up in there, but I think he's a Pisces. I think that he sometimes has a problem. He's compassionate. He cares about people. Now he did run that lady over, that investigator. So let's just say, but remember, Pisces can have a bad side to him too. Don't get it twisted. Like, Pisces can be manipulative. Pisces energy, if wronged, because you least expect it. You know, they're the person you're not going to investigate. So I think he's a Pisces, but also just because like he's a genuinely good person. I think he is very sensitive. I think that he is someone who cares about others. I do think that he is someone who sometimes has issues asserting his true feelings sometimes. Again, I'm not saying all signs are like this exactly. I'm telling you the character and the trait that they have from that sign. So I'm not judging each sign like that. Oliver, very sweet, loyal, dedicated, very smart, analytical. I think he's a Virgo. And I said that because he's good at figuring things out. He's really not trying to be a part of something bigger necessarily, like Aquarius. He knows how to make himself useful. Because we first met Oliver, he was just he was Connor's, you know, boyfriend. Well, they started off as a fling, you know, very opposite. They seemed very opposite, but they worked together. That's why I said I think they're both ruled by Mercury. There's an energy there between them two. And so he's kind of, you know, he inched his way into Annalise's team because he's a hacker and he's smart and he's useful. So Annalise was like, first she's like, who's this? Oh, that's your friend? No, he can't be a part. I have too many people involved in my cover-ups. And then they're like, oh, really? He knows how to do this. And so he's been helpful ever since, working for the law firm, all that type of stuff. Nate is a Taurus. I think Nate is a Taurus. Nate is very fixed on his ideas. He has a very stubbornness to him. You know, if you pay attention to Nate, he's kind of stubborn. You know, in his interactions with Annalise, like, you know, he trusts his own feeling, gut instincts about things, but he's also not over the top. He's not overly emotional. You know, I do think that at the end of the day, though, like he's always doing what needs to be done. He does what has to get done, whether good or bad. If you saw the last season, you know what I'm talking about. Teegan is not a main character, but she's been in the last 2 seasons, and I like Teegan. I like her tenacity. Teegan knows how to see an advantage. She is way more expressive than Annalise. You know, it's kind of, you know, but Teegan's also she's very intelligent. Sagittarius is the intellectual sign of the fire signs. Teegan's very fiery, but I also think that she has a sense of freedom that she needs in her life. Remember, she was in a relationship, and she left her relationship to focus on her career. And so she's kind of regretted that. But I think, you know, this idea of just freedom and travel and just, you know, when angered, she can be very petty. You know, Michaela, she felt like Michaela, you know, lied to her last season. She thought Michaela was using her. So she made it very difficult for Michaela this past season. And Michaela's trying to, like, you know, make sure. That's why I said Michaela, never mind, I'm not going to go into all that. That's why I think Michaela's you know, she doesn't want to feel like she's doing a bad job. That's why I said she's got a Virgo moon, but she's an Aquarius, right? For Michaela. But I think Teegan's a Sagittarius. I think she's a Sagittarius. And lastly, Wes, we know the dearly departed Wes. I mean, not Wes. I'm sorry. We did Wes. Yep. Oh, no, not Wes. I want to talk about Gabriel, the new Wes. Because I'm like, this guy here. All right, Gabriel. I'm trying to clock Gabriel. It's really hard to figure out what he is. We don't have a lot of information about him. You know, we don't have a lot of information about him. I think he's kind of blunt. I think he's kind of to the point. I think that, you know, I would say maybe a fire sign. I think more so maybe Aries or Leo. I don't know. I would have to see more of his character, more of his background, more of situations, because it's like he just kind of comes off as like somebody like, you're really comfortable, bro, to be new to the crew. Like, you're really comfortable talking to these people the way that you are, saying some of the things that you're saying. But he's blunt. Like when he told Laurel, you're not my type. Like, I think it's a very Aries. I think it's an Aries thing. Like, I think that it's a very, like, a Leo would keep you around to be part of their crew. A Leo's more charismatic with how they speak. Aries is just kind of like, yeah, like either I'm with it or I'm not. So I think he might be an Aries, probably with some other placements. All right, so that is it for this video. Thank you for watching.